Let's talk about a real clash of the titans. We're talking about a battle between thousands of years of history and a decade of pure digital disruption, Bitcoin versus gold. Today, we are diving deep into a huge debate between two financial heavyweights to really get to the bottom of the fight for the future of money. Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. This entire argument, this whole debate, it really boils down to one simple, crucial question. Think about it. When governments can just print more money whenever they want, the cash in your wallet, in your bank account, it slowly becomes worth less and less. So where do you put your wealth to protect it? Well, both gold and Bitcoin are screaming, "I'm the answer." They both claim to be the ultimate store of value. So what does that fancy term, store of value, actually mean? At its core, it's pretty simple. It's just something that holds its buying power over a really long time. It's supposed to be a safe place for your savings, an asset that inflation can't just eat away at. And that is the title that both Bitcoin and gold are fighting for. And here are our fighters. In one corner, you've got Michael Saylor. He's a tech CEO who has literally bet his entire public company on Bitcoin. He sees it as the next logical step for humanity. And in the other corner, we have Frank Giostra, a legend in the gold industry who puts his trust in the 5,000-year track record of cold, hard yellow metal. You've got two brilliant guys with two completely opposite visions of the future. All right, first up, let's unpack Michael Saylor's argument for Bitcoin. And for him, this is so much bigger than just an investment. He truly sees Bitcoin as one of the most important technological breakthroughs in human history. Saylor's whole philosophy starts with this really massive idea that money is just a form of energy. He argues that all of civilization is about finding ways to capture energy, our work, our ideas, and that money is the technology we invented to store that energy and send it anywhere, anytime. But, and this is the key, he says every form of money we've ever had has failed. It always leaks energy through inflation or debasement. So he believes it's time we finally engineer a perfect container for that energy. So if you were to design this perfect money, this God coin from scratch, what would it need? Well, Saylor says, first off, it would need a supply that is absolutely finite. No one could ever make more of it, ever. It would have to be super easy to divide into tiny pieces and send across the world in a flash. And maybe most importantly, it would need to be built on a set of rules that are completely transparent and open to everyone on Earth. No backroom deals, no secret money printing, just pure math. And this is where he delivers the knockout punch. Saylor's big conclusion is that we don't need to dream about inventing this perfect money because it's already here. He argues that Bitcoin is the first truly engineered, perfect monetary system humanity has ever created. It was built from the ground up to solve all the problems of the past. And he says, look, if you want proof that it's working, just look at the numbers. An average annual growth rate of 200%. In his mind, that's not just a speculative bubble. That's the sign of a brand new monetary network that is sucking in capital from all over the world, growing faster than any company in history. So what about gold? Well, here's his main critique. He puts it pretty bluntly. He sees gold as an old-school analog technology in our high-speed digital world. As he says, you just can't chop up a gold bar and beam it to billions of people with smartphones. For Saylor, gold was the answer for yesterday's world. Bitcoin is the answer for today and for tomorrow. Okay, but now it's time to switch gears completely, because Frank Giostra steps into the ring and brings a huge dose of what he calls a reality check, and it's all grounded in decades of real-world experience. Giostra's position isn't that Bitcoin is totally useless. His core argument is just that it's brand new and fundamentally unproven. I mean, it's only been around for a little over a decade. That's a total blink of an eye in financial history. For him, betting your life savings on something so young and so incredibly volatile, well, that's not investing. That's just a massive, massive gamble. And he uses this absolutely brilliant analogy to make his point. He says, investing in Bitcoin today is like watching the first season of Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's exciting, it's got everyone hooked, but you have absolutely no idea how the story's going to end. Will it be a masterpiece, or is it going to get canceled in some horrible, unexpected way? Gold, on the other hand, is like the complete box set. The story's been told, and it's been a bestseller for thousands of years. And this leads to another one of Giostra's big worries. Is Bitcoin's price being driven by real innovation and people actually using it? Or is it just a giant speculative bubble? A game of musical chairs where the only goal is to buy it and hope you can sell it to somebody else for more money down the road. And you can kind of see what he means when you look at the sheer scale of these two markets. Juster points out that a huge part of the Bitcoin story is about persuading people to move their money from the absolutely massive $12 trillion gold market into the much, much smaller $1 trillion Bitcoin market. He says even a tiny little trickle of money flowing from gold to Bitcoin can make the price just explode upwards. But is that a solid foundation for the future of money? But all of this, it all builds up to what Giostra sees as the single biggest threat, the elephant in the room. And it's not volatility or bubbles, it's governments. He's very clear on this. No government in history has ever willingly given up its control over money. He thinks they will see Bitcoin as a threat, and they will fight it. They can regulate it and tax it with 1,000 tiny cuts until it just bleeds out. So, we've heard both sides, the fiery vision of the future versus the cautious wisdom of the past. So, where do we land? Well, the truth is, the verdict is completely unsettled. This is about more than just two assets. It's about two completely different ways of seeing the world. Let's just break it down one last time, side by side. Where Michael Saylor sees a perfect, engineered technology for our digital age, Frank Juster sees a crazy, volatile, and totally unproven gamble. Where Saylor sees the next step in the evolution of money, Juster just sees a 12-year experiment versus gold's thousands of years of history. And here's the biggest clash. What Saylor sees as Bitcoin's greatest strength, that it's unstoppable and decentralized, Juster sees as its biggest weakness, practically inviting governments to come and attack. And that really leaves us with the one question that matters. At the end of the day, where do you place your trust? Do you bet on an engineered future, a technology that's designed to be perfect but has a tiny track record? Or do you rely on a proven past, an asset that has survived literally everything for 5,000 years? The debate is far from over, and how we all answer that question, well, that's going to shape the future of wealth for everyone.